Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing Comic Uno's Best Comics of the Week, and this is a show where I review all the comics I read this week in one show. We go least favorite to best pick of the week and everything in between, and at the end of the video, we talk about the viewer's pick of the week. So in the comments below, let me know your pick of the week for a chance to be featured on the episode. Let's get started. I had 10 books this week, so a pretty average size haul. Number 10 for me is Spider-Woman issue 5, a book I want to like more because I like Jessica Drew, but I feel like it's had a really hard start. The first 4 issues were tied into a lackluster event like gang war, and now we have the overall story of her trying to find her son, Jerry, and figure out what's been going on with him, and then you kind of bring in Spider-Boy for some reason. And it's like, all right, we already had gang war. Do we need another like special character crossover right now? I just kind of want to see what makes this series special compared to maybe another Jessica Drew run. And I just feel like it hasn't really stood out from the crowd, and that's been my biggest complaint about it. I still want to pick up more issues to see where it goes, but I don't know if this is going to be staying on my pull list for very long. So giving that 2 stars, and that is number 10. Moving on to number 9, the title of the video. Web of Spider-Man. Was it just a teaser? Were the teasers good enough? Honestly, my answer is, yeah, this is a teaser book. That's what I expected. But what I want from a teaser book is not, here's just some vignettes, maybe you'll get excited for them. And that's kind of what happened here. They're short stories. You're like, okay, this is what Spider-Woman's going to be up to. This is what Gwen's up to. But there's nothing that's exciting in it. There's nothing to be like, whoa, so that's going to happen? It's just like, hey, yeah, Gwen's in the 616 now. There's the original Goblin. All things we already knew from the solicit. So there wasn't anything too shocking or noteworthy. Probably the biggest noteworthy thing is that Kane's back. And I'm like, all right, like he's a cool character. I like Kane, but I don't know if that's like a big splash, and they don't even really make it a big splash in this issue. So it's hard to get excited for everything that's going on in Spider-Man. And even, I love Gwen, but I'm like, oh man, am I really excited for her to go to Earth 616? And the Spider-Man I do like is Ultimate stuff, and that's not here. So I felt like it was pretty lackluster, just like the run of Spider-Man kind of has been for the last few months, minus a few titles here and there, and I don't really feel like they brought anything to the table with this one, and it didn't really get me excited for what's to come. Even the mainstream line is just like, okay, here's Tombstone. It's like, all right, we've already kind of seen stuff with that, so there wasn't anything really exciting to report here, which is what I wanted with this book. Kind of like a Ghost Machine. I think that's a really great example of how to do a teaser book. So I'm going to give this 2.5 stars. It wasn't horrendous by any means. Like, they're fine stories, but they're not anything great either. So I'm going to give that 2.5 stars, like I said, and that is number 9. Moving on to number 8, which is JSA issue 9. I actually got a lot of DC books this week. There were just more DC stuff in my pile. Marvel this week. Those are actually the only 2 Marvel books I had this week, and they're both on the bottom, which is disappointing to see. But yes, JSA is a book that has been delayed a lot, and almost every single time I'm like, what's going on in this again? And I felt the same way here. It's just like, okay, is the story and plot is exciting enough to be delayed as often as it is? And is there really a coherent plot going on? And I feel like that's kind of been the rocky road of, not the ice cream, but the rocky road of this book. Because I really liked Huntress. I think she was the linchpin of those first few issues, and then they didn't really focus on her anymore, and it just feels a little bit too broad, again, especially because of all the delays. But the artwork is really good for this book, which is why it's a bit higher. So giving that 3 stars, and that is number 8. Moving on to number 7, which is the Infernals, issue 2. Honestly, this is a good book. The only reason it's lower is I don't know if it's really made for me, and I'm still kind of deciding if it will be for me or not. And this is not a genre I tend to like. It's just not. But I think Ryan Parrott does such a great job at making it kind of a series that I could like, because there is so much character development and a lot of interesting family drama, and that's introduced in here too, and interesting artwork. So every issue it's like, yeah, you know what, I might try out the next one, even though this is not particularly my vibe. So giving that 3 stars, and that is number 7. Moving on to number 6, which is Superman issue 12. This is more of an action issue. If you like villain storytelling, you're going to really like this one. It's definitely more about Lex Luthor and also Brainiac, which I'm not so excited for. I'm not a huge Brainiac fan. And I'm not a big fan of stories that just have to do with the villain. And I'm not saying that's this issue. I do think you get enough of Superman, but it is leaning more towards the plot of Lex Luthor. And for me, that's not something as interesting, but I think this issue did a good job at doing that type of storytelling. A lot of good action and good progression too as you get towards this main event that I'm not particularly sure if I'm gonna be favorable of, but they are building to something bigger. So and also the artwork for an action issue is very important, and this felt very unique. The styles, the clothes, I enjoyed the visuals of this issue. So giving that 3 stars, and that is number 6. Moving on to number 5, it's going to be a big jump. This is actually a 4-star book, and that is Wonder Woman issue 7. This I actually wanted to put higher, but it was the artwork for me. It was much grittier than I think it needs to be. This is actually a fun one-off about Wonder Woman and Clark Kent, or Superman, trying to buy a birthday gift for Batman. All while Wonder Woman's trying to ignore telling Superman about everything that's going on in the actual current Wonder Woman book. And I had a fun time with it. Is it as fun as the Carnival issue from way back when that Tom King did in Batman? No, but I think it was different, and it felt like a filler issue in that way, in a good way. It's like, okay, all this kind of heavy stuff is happening. Let's break it apart with these two buying their best friend a birthday gift, and then having the little smile in the end with Batman I thought was a lot of fun. And I think what they end up giving him was a perfect gift for him as well. And, you know, I feel like DC has been trying to show the softer side of Batman in a lot of titles, and not every creator has gotten it right. This one felt right to me, where it's like, all right, yeah, he would give that little smile. He will, that's his softer side. He's not going to be like, okay, let me have a pep talk with you, but I'll give you a little smile after I get a gift that's more heartwarming. But yeah, honestly, the only reason it's not higher is the art. I just thought it was really gritty for what it was. It's the same artist that did Joker. I just didn't feel like it quite fit for the story. But I liked the story. I thought it was very, very charming. So I'm going to give that 4 stars, and that is number 5. Moving on to number 4, which is Nightwing issue 112. I think we're very close to the end of this creative team's run, and this issue is just a love letter to Nightwing. It's simple. It's nothing more than that. You know, there's not a huge plot. It has a bit of a continuation of the Heartless story, but mostly it's just how does Dick Grayson stand apart from other heroes? Who are his loved ones, and how does that tie into helping this kid who's an orphan, of course, because of course he has to be an orphan. That tends to be the story of Batman. And the artwork was really, really solid throughout. I thought it was very consistent. There was actually a different inker for a few different pages that I did not notice. I think, again, it all felt like it belonged, and it was a solid story. Does it blow me away? No. Again, does it progress the plot? Not really, but if you like Dick Grayson, I think you'll enjoy the character study. So giving that 4 stars, and that is number 4. Moving on to number 3, the penultimate issue of Kill Your Darlings, issue 4. Issue 7, not issue 4, but I did give this 4 stars. This is a solid, let's put the puzzle pieces together issue. You know, we got a lot of exposition in a good way in those last 2 issues, and now the main characters have to find out how that exposition affects them, and that's what this issue is. It really is putting the armies into place for a big finale, and I liked it. You know, I think it did what it needed to do. I don't know if this issue blew me away as much as previous issues, because it is a lot of like setting the pieces, but artwork is so out of this world. The animals are so cute, and then there's also obviously this contrast and juxtaposition of the witches and the magic, and it's just the best art on stands in my opinion. I love Bob Quinn's art, so giving that 4 stars, and that is number 3. Moving on to number 2, which is Titans issue 9. This is honestly just a really great follow-up to Beast World, and even Nightwing touches a bit on Beast World, but this does a good job of showcasing what's happening to Raven, how that's affecting the larger DC universe with Amanda Waller and her father, and then also obviously the world reacting to Gar and how evil Raven's kind of getting her claws in there, especially with Donna Troy. But yeah, it was just a really well-balanced issue. You even get a little superheroing in with like a storm that's in Key West in the beginning of the issue. I just thought it was well-balanced, and again, progresses the plot really well, all while telling a really interesting character story for multiple characters. And I love when an event can actually affect the DC universe or affect the Marvel universe, and Beast World's really showing that, because Tom Taylor wrote Beast World, and now it's playing such a big part in Titans. So giving that 4 stars, and that is number 2, with, again, really good artwork. Tom Taylor has wonderful art collaborators almost all the time, so you shouldn't be surprised by that. Number one's gonna surprise you guys, because I was surprised by it, and that's Lilo and Stitch issue 2. The reason it's number one is it does exactly what this book is supposed to do. So it's an all ages book, which actually means it's all ages. It's not really kiddified in any way. It feels like a continuation of the Lilo and Stitch movie, so you get to see a lot of the different character development from that movie, like our alien characters interacting with Lilo's family, and it tells a new narrative. It tells a story about Stitch feeling like he's putting his family in danger and having to run away because of that. And there's a lot of fun visual gags of this koala that looks like Stitch. We are introduced to some new characters, and it all feels very organic and feels like really great world building for this all ages book that's a Disney property. Again, I just think it did it all right. It feels truly all ages. It's fun, but it also has a plot. Sometimes these all ages books really lean into comedy, and you're just like, oh, that felt very one-off. What does this mean for the characters? And this actually feels like it has a story to be told as well. So overall, I'm giving that 4 stars, and that is my pick of the week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno. Let me know in the comments below what your pick of the week was. And last week's pick of the week was the new Tom King indie book, and that is Helen of Windhorn. And here are some comments about that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno, and I'll see you guys in the next one.